Welcome to Terrific Talk. I'm Tom Anderson. Beautiful sunny day here from the Hoboken Studios in New Jersey. Thanks for checking the podcast out here on the CLNS Radio Network, the leading online provider of audio-video coverage for New England professional sports. If you're a fan of the show, check us out on Twitter. 2 handles for you to remember, at Terrific Talk Tom and at CLNS Radio. Check us out there on Twitter. Also, feel free to download the CLNS Radio free mobile podcast app. It's available for both iOS and Android. Okay? You're welcome. I've got a great guest today for you. NBA TV's Jared Greenberg. You see Jared all over NBA TV, breaking NBA news, hosting shows like Game Time and Shaq and a Fool. He's also the host of a very popular show called Off the Dribble, weekdays from 1 to 4 on Sirius XM Radio. Really excited to have him on today. Let me bring him in here. Jared Greenberg, welcome to Terrific Talk.
I appreciate you having me, Tom.
So before we get into broadcasting and the NBA, let's start from the beginning. Where'd you grow up? What teams did you root for as a kid? And who taught you your love for sports?
Wow. Well, I grew up in a sports cave, is what my friends tell me. Because
nice.
I'm glad this is not a podcast about movies or music or other things, because while I enjoy all those other things, I pretty much grew up in New Jersey, where all my family did was 3 boys. All we were into was sports. I wish I could say there was more hobbies of other, but I guess it kind of worked out well for me, where my brothers just kind of drilled it into me how fun sports were and how competitive we all were. And I grew up watching at the time the New Jersey Nets, watched the New Jersey Devils. Grew up a Mets fan in baseball, and I'm a little different up in the New York, New Jersey area, where I'm a Giants fan and a Mets fan. So
Jared, this is crazy. I'm a Giants, Mets, and Nets fan too. I'm a weird one like you.
Wow, it's fate.
It's rare. Yeah, it's amazing. Grew up playing sports too?
Yeah, I played a lot of sports. I don't think I played any of them very well. But yeah, I primarily was playing baseball. That was my favorite sport to play growing up. But pretty early on, when I was a freshman in high school, I kind of, had a self-realization that I wasn't going to be a professional athlete of any kind, but I love sports, and I needed to find a way to kind of stay involved in sports, and I happened to kind of find my calling, I guess, or at least the career that would put food on the table for me and provide me with the opportunity to do something that I love every day, which is working in sports broadcasting.
Right. I know you started at a local radio station at Ramapo College, I think, while you were still in high school. What did you like about radio and working in the media? What did you like about that? It was
wild. I was my second semester, the spring semester of my freshman year of high school. I just didn't know what I liked. I knew that I was into sports, and I knew that I listened to a lot of sports on the radio, watched a lot of sports nonstop on TV. And as you mentioned, I got this opportunity at a local college where I was growing up, and it was right down the street from my high school. And I walked in, and at first I was just doing music. And like I said, I didn't, obviously I like listening to music, but I didn't know enough to be a DJ. But I flipped the switch on the transmitter. That's the first shift they gave me was a Sunday morning, and they actually had to turn the transmitter on.
Wow.
Which is not as complicated as it sounds. It literally is just like turning on your lights in your house.
Okay.
So it's not difficult, but from that moment on, I realized that wow, this is you can get paid to just sit here and talk and share your thoughts and listen to people and learn from them. And right away, it almost hit me that, all right, I'm doing music here, but I bet I could find a way to incorporate my passion for sports. And in what was just an incredible sequence of events for me, and it was incredibly fortunate too, and rare, I think. I was working at a college radio station while I was in high school that didn't have any sports programming, which, the more I've learned about college radio, I've learned that, there's the hardcore music fans, and then there's the sports guys.
Yeah.
Or girls too, obviously. It's amazing to think that nobody was doing sports at the time. I think part of the reason was that college didn't have a football team.
Okay.
But what I did was, I said, I really love doing sports. Would you guys mind if I did a sports talk show? And they're like, yeah, we've always wanted to have a sports talk show on this station. Nobody's wanted to do it. And then from there, I said, I wanted to do play-by-play, so I couldn't do football play-by-play because they didn't have a football team. So I went to my high school and said, hey, could I bring the radio station and we do the high school games on the radio? And they were like, yeah. So it just kind of evolved, and I just kept on looking at it as an opportunity and creating my own internship in a way. And it became a great 3.5 years of setting the table where I kind of used that in high school like many people would use in college. And then it allowed me, once I got to college, to really lock in and focus on making sure I was in the best possible position I could be in once I got out of college to get a job in doing something that I absolutely love doing.
What advice do you have for young broadcasters out there trying to get into this field?
The number one thing is you hear a lot of young broadcasters, and I talk to a lot, and I love chatting about this subject with a lot of kids, whether they're in high school, or whether they're in college, or whether they're out and looking for a job. You hear the word, I got the passion, I'm willing to work hard, do anything. But that's just words. And I don't mean to say that you shouldn't feel or tell people that you believe that, because you should, but you need to act on it. With today's day and age, with there being so many opportunities out there and so many different ways to crack into the business, you gotta separate yourself. And I think a lot of people think the best way to separate yourself is with a style, with a unique flair, having your own shtick. Let that stuff come at a later time when you're more seasoned. Get really good at being good. And I don't know if I'm oversimplifying it or if it sounds like I'm not making sense of it, but do your homework. Understand, if you want to become a basketball broadcaster, if you want to become a football sideline reporter, don't wait until you get your job to learn about the content of your job. I can't tell you, Thomas, how many people I've spoke to over the years who tell me, I want to work as an anchor doing the sports on the 11 o'clock news. And I say, well, what market? And they tell me the market. And I say, well, what do you know about that market? Nothing. You've got to prepare yourself for the job. You can't wait to get the job and then get prepared. And then, it's all the other stuff about, how to network and when you're networking, don't just reach out to people when you need stuff. If you're genuinely networking, reach out to them for normal communication and make it more of a feedback session instead of asking for a job type of back and forth. But really the biggest thing I can't stress enough is, and it's really what I take my most pride in, because I'm sure there are people who are better at delivery than me on air. I'm sure there are people who are much better looking. I'm sure of that. I'm sure people that could offer a skill set better than me. But one thing that I pride myself on every day that nobody's going to beat me on is being more prepared than me. And sure, you're going to make mistakes, and I've made plenty of them on the air. But I want to put myself in a position where, not that I'm a know-it-all, because you don't want to come off like that, but that you're ready for any situation to happen while you're on the air. And you can't wait for that situation to happen to try and get yourself prepared.
Real quick, today's opening segment is powered by the SeatGeek ticketing app. You know SeatGeek, the smartest and easiest way to buy and sell sports and concert tickets. Get a $20 rebate on your first purchase by downloading the free SeatGeek app to your phone. Just go to the settings tab and click add a promo code and enter the code Garden Report, all one word, for a $20 rebate so SeatGeek knows who sent you. Now, back to NBA TV's Jared Greenberg. Jared, you do a bunch of shows with NBA legends. You all have great chemistry on set. You have a ton of fun. As a guy who didn't play in the NBA, how did you earn the respect of those guys?
Well, you got to work at it without working at it. And I appreciate you saying that, because we take a lot of pride at Turner Sports. Whether you're watching Inside the NBA with Ernie, Shaq, Charles, and Kenny, or whether you're watching us across the hall on NBA TV, it's the kind of unofficial, unwritten motto that we have of we take our job seriously, not ourselves. And I think that's what I love most about working at Turner Sports and NBA TV, is that I understand how important it is for the viewer to come to us to get basketball information, but I also understand and keep it in perspective that, it could be a way to escape for somebody from the real world, because it's not about politics, it's not about religion, it's not about war, it's not about the stock market. This is basketball. It's supposed to be fun. So while there are times that we need to buckle down and be serious, and while I'm going to make sure I work my tail off every minute of every day leading up to my show, so the viewer can be as informed as possible, and I could deliver the pertinent information. While I'm doing it, I want to make sure that you feel like we're having fun, and that we're up there just having a conversation with you who's watching at home or at a bar, wherever you may be, and earning the respect of the guys. I think is coming from learning how they operate. I don't treat Shaq the same as I treat Brent Barry. And that's not to say I treat one better than the other. It's learning what makes each one tick, learning what they enjoy to talk about, right? I wouldn't ask Dennis Scott to break down a play the same way I would ask Rick Fox to break down a play. It's learning what make these guys unique, relating to them, talking to them about their experiences, learning them. When I prepare for a show, I prepare as much for the guys I'm working with as much as the subject we're going to talk about, because I want to know how to maximize them being there, how to utilize their past experiences to help share stories that when you're at home watching, you feel like you're engaged and you really want to hear more.
You mentioned working with Shaq. Do you have a favorite Shaq story that you could share with us?
I have a lot of Shaq stories I can't share with you.
Everybody always says that, yeah.
Shaq is the best. He is an 8-year-old boy trapped in a 40-something-year-old man's body, 44 or 45 years old. He is the best. He's so caring. He's so playful. But you also can see what makes him so successful about how much he wants to get to know you, how much he asks about you, and genuinely cares. I think the Shaq stories are just how much fun we've had over the years when I've taped the Shaq Did a Fool show with him, whether he's been, we're doing a segment and he decides just randomly to pick me up and carry me out, or throw a cape over my head and pick me up blindfolded and drag me out of the studio, whatever it is. It's going to be fun. I'll tell you my favorite Shaq story. Has nothing to do with anything we do on air. About a year ago, 2 years ago now, my nephew got bar mitzvahed. And my nephew had come to the studio a while back and met Shaq and told him he wanted him to come to the party. And yeah, I'd be there. And of course, Shaq's a little busy. He's flying back and forth to China all the time. So but I asked Shaq, I said, hey, would you mind, they're making a video montage, would you mind, making a video? And he grabbed my phone from me and he ran away and he just made this hilarious video for my nephew that went on the video montage at his bar mitzvah. And it was, let's just say my nephew won for in his town for having the best bar mitzvah video montage of any of his friends, because
that's pretty awesome.
Because Shaq opened it up and congratulated him.
That's really cool. Talking to NBA TV's Jared Greenberg. Jared, I wanted to get your take here on this year, the whole stars resting controversy that's kind of swept the NBA. What do you make of all that?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a problem, and I think that we've got to recognize where the problem starts. And the players, especially the stars, are making so much more money, or have the ability over the next few years to make so much more money. And I don't want to make this about money, but I want to explain why this is so important. It's because we've just started a new 8-year TV deal with Turner Sports and the NBA, as well as ABC and ESPN and the NBA. And those two companies for the next 8 years are paying $24 billion to have the exclusive national TV rights. Now, television revenue has become the largest source of income for the NBA per year, which is why salaries have gone through the roof. Ticket sales are important. Merchandise is important. There's a lot of ways the NBA makes money. They don't have a bigger source of income per year than the TV deal. And the TV deal is what it is because these TV companies feel they can not only earn that $24 billion back over the next 8 years, but they'll be able to make money off of it. And you know how they do that? By selling advertising. And advertisers spend money based on ratings. And if the ratings aren't there, they're not spending the money, and the TV partners are not making their money back. And then when this thing gets to get renegotiated in 8 years, that $24 billion may not be there for the NBA to be had anymore. And while LeBron James and Steph Curry and whoever else may be long retired at that point, who knows, and they may not feel the direct impact of this, they've got to realize the future of the economic future of the NBA. Because you cannot continue to kind of, disrespect your business partners when your business partners are putting your salaries through the roof.
Fair.
Guys, I got to tell you about Audible. Audible is the leading provider for premium digital spoken audio information and entertainment on the internet. Audible content includes an unmatched selection of audiobooks and other audio products. Users can sign up as an Audible listener, which gives them book credits and access to short programs, now playing in channels each month for a low monthly fee. Customers can download their choices and can access them on their iPhone, Android device, Fire tablet, iPod, or other MP3 player. Support the Troy Talk podcast and receive a free 30-day trial and free audiobook from Audible. Just go to audible.com/try-now to receive your free trial from Audible today.
Last question here. Most people penciling in another Warriors-Cavs final. Do you see it that way? Are there any other teams out there you think could realistically sneak into the finals?
Well, I'm real curious about the Cavs. I felt for most of the season that they would be good enough to get back. And I think primarily that was because we didn't feel anybody else was good enough to really challenge them in the East. And I'm still not sure or feel like I'm very confident about anybody else. But I think this Boston team could make it interesting. I think that the Wizards have a backcourt that is fearless and has experience winning postseason series. I think the Raptors feel like they were just obviously 1 win away from getting to a Game 7 and 2 wins away from getting to the NBA Finals. So there are teams that are not going to be scared by the Cavs, which has not been the case over the last couple of years for LeBron since he's returned to Cleveland. Ultimately, I think he gets back there, but they've got to figure some stuff out. The defensive lapses they've had the last couple of weeks, that's not something we're just making up. And ultimately, in today's NBA, you just have to be able to outscore your opponent. But every once in a while, you got to be able to get a stop. And outside of LeBron, especially with Tristan Thompson hurt, I'm concerned about who the Cavs have that can actually go out there and make that effort to even get the stop. In terms of the West, it's going to be interesting this weekend with Kevin Durant coming back in the mix because the Warriors have been playing so well.
Yeah.
I love Durant on that team. I think he is a great fit, and I think they will figure it out. The Rockets are going to pose a problem because they are going to be able to outscore teams. I don't think the Spurs have enough. I'm worried about their backcourt, how much they get defensively and offensively. Is Tony Parker going to be somebody that Pop puts in like Tim Duncan mode where he's got to kind of slow him down because Patty Mills is a better option? Maybe, but I think ultimately it comes down to Houston and Golden State, and I think Golden State prevails, and for the third straight year, and for the first time ever in the history of the NBA, we get 2 teams meeting up for 3 straight years in the finals.
Unbelievable. It'll be exciting to watch. Jared, this was great. Thank you so much for coming on today. Everybody make sure to check out Jared on his great show, Off the Dribble, weekdays from 1 to 4 on Sirius XM Radio. Check him out on NBA TV, and go follow him on Twitter. His handle is @Jared S. Greenberg. Jared, Mets, Nets, and Giants, keep the hope alive. Thanks for coming on.
Well, I really appreciate you even asking me to come on. It means a lot. Thanks so much.
Oh, you were great. Thank you.